Hello, I'm attorney Susan Ingles with South Carolina Legal Services, and this presentation is about dealing with electric companies. The South Carolina Public Service Commission is essentially like a court for cases involving utilities and other regulated companies in South Carolina. It does have broad jurisdiction. Its mission is to serve the public of South Carolina by providing open and effective regulation and adjudication of the state's public utilities. It has a number of goals, but I've highlighted here the two that really involve the public. And that is to ensure customer satisfaction and quality of service, and to make sure that the regulated entities comply with all legal requirements. And we'll talk about some of those in this presentation. So first, deposits. Do you have to pay a deposit before you can get service? Yes, they may require the cash deposit to secure your account. The conditions for that are contained in the regulation shown here, 103-331. And these are the regulations promulgated by the Public Service Commission, or PSC. Okay. What if they're charging you a deposit suddenly and you're already having trouble paying your bill and they know that? Why do they think you can pay a deposit? Well, under the regulations, they are allowed to require that. If you've got a history of non-payment of at least 2 consecutive months of not paying in the last 24 months, they're allowed to do that. If you're unable to provide an acceptable guarantor of payment otherwise, or if in the past you've had your service terminated for non-payment or fraudulent use. You can find more detail about how this is allowed and under what circumstances in Regulation 103-331. So how are deposits calculated? Of course, there is a regulation for that as well, but they can charge a deposit of up to 60 days. If you already have a usage history, then it cannot be more than your highest 2 bills in the previous year. And then all deposits are subject to review, and it just depends on your particular situation. But at the end of this presentation, and you can find on our website how you can file a complaint if you think that that should be different than what the utility company or the electric company is doing in your particular situation. Paying your bill. Well, we all want to know, when do I have to pay my bill? Obviously, you should pay it when you get it, but you have 25 days from the date of the bill until it's considered to be past due under the rules. If you can't pay before the past due date, sometimes you can get an extension, or what they sometimes call a payment arrangement. That could be an extra 5 days to pay the bill or something like that. And there are other ways to do it as well. If you need more than a payment arrangement, let's say you have gotten a shutoff notice. If you have, you are eligible for a deferred payment plan. And that can be for up to 6 monthly payments. They would just take whatever the past due amount is and divide it by 6 monthly payments. But keep in mind, during that time, you still have to pay the regular bill that comes to you, because it's not going to include that in the deferred payment plan. If you don't keep up with those payments in the payment plan, then they can go ahead and disconnect your service, but they do have to send you written notice of that. 103, Regulation 103-352C is where you can find some more information about that. Keep in mind, if you're already in a deferred payment plan, they're not required to renegotiate those terms or to offer you an additional one until that one is satisfied. So you can't do deferred payment plans, over and over again on the same past due amount. Any other options? Well, yes. There's something called the Equal Payment Plan. That's a free service which basically takes the 2 times of the year that your bill is going to be the highest, which is probably in the winter when the heat is running more, in the summer when air conditioning might be running more, and you're able to take those high amounts and spread them out in the intervening months between those 2 seasons. They can estimate that, give you 11 equal payments, and then the 12th payment, which is for the 12th month, is just to give you either a credit based on your usage or charge you for the additional amount. But that's always a good option. Terminating your service. When can the company shut off your electricity? Well, there are 9 reasons why they can do it, contained in Regulation 103-342. They can do that when there is a hazardous or dangerous condition, when there's unauthorized or fraudulent use, when your use of the service adversely affects other customers, for non-payment of a bill at the location where you're getting the service or another location where you haven't paid. There's a form that represents your identity. So keep that in mind. And they can do it for failure to permit the utility reasonable access to its own equipment at your residence. It can be done if at the time of application, this would be a service being denied at the time of application if you have an outstanding bill. It can be denied for failure to provide a deposit. So if they ask for a deposit when you're setting up electricity, you say, well, I don't have the money, I can't pay a deposit, they have the right to deny you the service. Or failure to fulfill your contractual obligations for the service, and that can be quite a wide range of things. Do they have to send notice before disconnecting my service for non-payment? Yes, the regulations do require 10 days notice before the shutoff, and then a second notice just a few days before it's actually disconnected. So they do give you plenty of time to work things out. So what if there's children in the home or the temperature is very hot or very cold? Can they shut off the service under those circumstances? Well, it's not against our state law to shut off your electricity just because there are children in the home. So that's not a reason that you can prevent shut-off. However, with extreme hot or cold temperatures, every utility company is required to have written procedures for termination of service during weather conditions that are extremely hot or cold. And those can vary, but they do have to have procedures. So you have to check your own electric company under that circumstance. But you can prevent shutoff if it's going to be dangerous to your health or to the health of a member of your household. And what you have to do there is you as customer and a licensed healthcare provider for you have to complete a medical certificate. So the healthcare provider has to certify that they've given you a medical exam and that the shutoff would be dangerous to your health because of a medical condition. And you're certifying that you are unable to pay in full or by installment payments. That certification or certificate is valid for 30 days and can be renewed up to 3 times for another 30 days each. But keep in mind, it doesn't mean that you don't have to pay your bill for those months of December through March. At the end of March, they can disconnect your service if you're not able to settle up at that time. So keep that in mind and try to put money aside if that's the situation you're in. It also gives you time during the months of December and through March to find a organization that may be able to provide that payment for you. For more information, you can contact the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff. It's referred to as the ORS, and they handle the non-judicial functions of the Public Service Commission. They have an online consumer complaint program that you can find on our website, and the ORS website is www.ors.sc.gov. And here's the contact information for South Carolina Legal Services. Electricity is an important utility service to everyone, and you can contact us if you're having any legal issues regarding your electricity. Our services are free for eligible consumers that have legal problems that are related, so you can apply by telephone, you can apply online, or you can also come to a local office if it's an emergency situation and apply in person. I also refer you to lawhelp.org/SC, which is our website where you can find materials and resources on this and other topics that we cover at South Carolina Legal Services. Thanks for listening.